Hello, my dear students. Welcome to this education channel. I hope you are doing well in this pandemic situation. Please stay at home and stay safe. Uh, in the series of video lectures, we are discussing many things in physics. Especially in the past five videos, I have discussed about the modern physics, photoelectric effect, Compton effect, and problem solutions. Now we will do much better in this modern physics first unit. In that, atomic spectra and models are also very important lesson. In this, we discuss many things like who were discovered different models. We in the elementary standard we have a knowledge of Thomson's plum pudding model, Rutherford's nuclear model, Bohr's model, Sommerfeld's relativistic model, vector model. So these are the very important models to describe the structure of an atom. As we know, an atom consists of nucleus. In that nucleus, proton, neutron, and many elementary particles are situated at that nucleus, and around the nucleus, electrons revolve in different orbits, whether they are in moving in circular orbits or elliptical orbits, or otherwise it has space quantization. These are different advancements in this description of the models, which were explained by Thomson by plum pudding model, and Rutherford's discussed about the nuclear model, and Bohr's model. It has given a complete structure of hydrogen atom, and Sommerfeld's relativistic model up to helium 2 plus, lithium 3 plus. He has discussed many things, and we know the vector model. In that vector model, space quantization and spin quantization are the most important things, and those two, space quantization and spin quantization, has given a complete explanation for the vector atom model. Actually, in the 19th century, it was clear to the scientists that the chemical elements consist of atoms. Chemical elements consist of atoms. So, electron, which was one of the fundamental constituent particles, was first of all invented by J.J. Thomson. Electrons are negatively charged particles, but the atom as a whole is electrically neutral. Hence, it became clear that the atom must also contain positively charged material to balance the negative charge of the electron. This was confirmed by the discovery of positive rays, which indicated that a normal atom consisted of both negative and positive charges. So here we understand that an atom is a stable because a negatively charged electron revolves around the positively charged nucleus, so that it is balanced, so that it is kept in a stable situation. So this was confirmed by the discovery of positive rays, which indicated that a normal atom consisted of both negative and positive charges. So Thomson also measured the ratio of charge to mass. Actually, electron is discovered by J.J. Thomson. So proton is discovered by Goldstein. Neutron is discovered by James Chadwick. This is very fundamental thing. So for every atom, the atom is consisted of positively charged nucleus at the center, and around the nucleus different orbits, the electrons are revolve in different orbital path. So the electron consisted of negative charge and positive, the nucleus consists of positive charge. So the positive and negative charges are balanced here, so that atom always at stable state, unless until you give an external energy. By absorbing that energy or by emitting some energy, that atom will get ionized or excited. So due to that excitation of the atom, many things can happen. Due to that excitation, ionization, many more fundamental properties of elements and substances has discovered, invented by many scientists. So first of all, the atom has positive charged nucleus and negatively charged electron around it. Okay. So the electron revolves around the nucleus in different orbital motion, different orbits, whether they are in circular orbit or elliptical orbit, whatever the motion, they have different orbits. The electron stays in different orbits unless until that atom was excited. నువ్వు ఎక్స్టర్నల్గా ఎనర్జీ ఇవ్వనంత వరకు దట్ ఎలక్ట్రాన్ డజంట్ గో ఇన్ డిఫరెంట్ ఆర్బిట్స్, డిఫరెంట్ ఎగ్జైటెడ్ స్టేట్, ఇంకా డిఫరెంట్ ఎగ్జైటెడ్ స్టేట్కి వెళ్ళదు. అంటే unless you give the external energy to the atom, the electron stays at that orbit only. It revolves around the nucleus in same orbit, so that its energy is stable. Whether if it goes to the higher state or after some time it comes back to the lower state, there may be different things can be happen. Those was explained by different scientists in different models. So these are the fundamental particles for constitute an atom. So electron is negatively charged particle. It is discovered by J.J. Thomson by Thomson's plum pudding model. Thomson plum pudding model ఏమవుతుంది? It has same like watermelon, and in that watermelon how the seeds are distributed, like that the electrons were distributed among the center of the area of cross section of the watermelon. But it was thrown away after so many years. But at that time, at the beginning of that invention, it has confirmed that the atom has some negative charge. So that is the electron, and that was discovered by J.J. Thomson. And this proton, actually in the center of the atom, in the positive, the proton plus neutron will be stays there at the center of the atom, which is nucleus. So proton is a positive charge. It is opposite to the electron. Okay, electron is a negative charge and proton is positive charge, whereas this neutron is neutral, no charge. It gives and it shows the property of the stability of the atom. To get the stability of the atom, the neutron plays a crucial role. అంటే ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు మొత్తంలో అసలు అటమ్ స్టేబుల్ ఉండడానికి ఎవరు కారణం? న్యూట్రాన్ ఈజ్ ద రీజన్ ఫర్ ద స్టెబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ ద atom. Right? Now, these are the fundamental things, and after Thomson's Plum-Pudding model, so there are different atomic models. So what are the first one is Thomson's, as I discussed it earlier, Thomson's Plum-Pudding model. So electrons were distributed like seeds in the watermelon, right? Next, this is explained by J.J. Thomson. By name itself indicates Thomson's, so you can easily remember that. And next one is Rutherford nuclear model. He has given, it was explained by Rutherford, and he has explained about the Rutherford model that when alpha particles are going to incident on gold foil, this is gold, then at the center there is no scattering, it comes back in the same way in opposite direction, and at the other than the center it goes in the scattering process. So he observed that at the center there is a same kind of charge as alpha particles has. So as you are you are able to give the incidence to the alpha by the alpha particles to the gold foil. So by that alpha particles, when it is going to incident on the gold foil, at the center there is no scattering, it comes back in the opposite direction in the same way, the same straight line opposite direction lo adi back వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. Why? Because the alpha particles has positive charge, helium 2 plus kada 2He4. So for that alpha particles has positive charge, and same positive charge ఇక్కడ నీకు ఏం కావాలి, అర్థం కావాలి, when two same kind charges close to each other, comes close to each other, then there is a repulsion happens. రెండు నెగటివ్ చార్జ్ పార్టికల్స్ కానీ రెండు నెగటివ్ పాజిటివ్ చార్జ్ పార్టికల్స్ కానీ ఒకే దగ్గరికి ఇట్ కమ్స్ క్లోజ్ టు ఈచ్ అదర్, దెన్ దెర్ ఈజ్ ఏ repulsion. So while these alpha particles get repulsion, means a positive charge is placed at the center, positive charge. He named this positive charge as nucleus. So నువ్వు చెప్పొచ్చు న్యూక్లియస్ ని ఎవరు కనుక్కున్నారు? రూథర్ఫోర్డ్. ప్రోటాన్ ఎవరు? గోల్డ్స్టీన్. న్యూట్రాన్ ఎవరు? జేమ్స్ చాడ్విక్. So nucleus is invented by Rutherford by alpha particle scattering experiment. Now let's see to describe the structure of an atom. One of the greatest invention by Niels Bohr to give the essential features of Rutherford's planetary model. అంటే ఈయన రూథర్ఫోర్డ్ ప్లానెటరీ మోడల్కి ఇంకా కొంచెం అడ్వాన్స్డ్గా కొన్ని అజంప్షన్స్ చేస్తూ he has given more clarity about the structure of an atom. So let's see Bohr's atomic model, which is in our syllabus. So we have to discuss in detail about this Bohr's atomic model. So he has developed the theory of atomic structure by retaining the two essential features of Rutherford's planetary motion. ఏంటవి two essential features ఏంటవి? First one is the atom consists of a central positively charged hard core called as nucleus and the electrons revolving round the nucleus in circular orbits. The outward centrifugal force is balanced by net electrostatic attraction towards the nucleus. So ఈ రెండు పాయింట్స్ రూథర్ఫోర్డ్ చెప్పిన పాయింట్స్ని తీసుకొని దాన్ని ఇంకా కొంచెం డెవలప్ చేశాడు స్ట్రక్చర్ ఆఫ్ ఆటమ్. ఫస్ట్ పాయింట్ ఏంటి? ఇన్ atom there is a central positive charge which is called nucleus. ఎవరు చెప్పారు? రూథర్ఫోర్డ్ చెప్పిండు. దాన్ని యాస్టిస్గా తీసుకొని ఇంకా కొన్ని డెవలప్మెంట్స్ చేస్తాడు. అండ్ ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ revolve around the nucleus. Electrons revolve around the nucleus in circular orbits. And the centrifugal force is balanced by electrostatic attraction force. So these assumptions made clear about the atom. So nucleus ఉంటుంది, అలాగే ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ రివాల్వ్ అవుతాయి న్యూక్లియస్ చుట్టూ. సో ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ రివాల్వ్ అవుతున్నప్పుడు సెంట్రిఫ్యూగల్ ఫోర్స్ అనేది అప్లై అవుతుంది. ఎందుకంటే the electrons go away to the nucleus but it doesn't go away from the atom. నుంచి బయటకు వెళ్ళిపోవు, కానీ న్యూక్లియస్ నుంచి కొంచెం దూరంగా it revolves around the nucleus in circular orbits. So it revolves around the nucleus in circular orbits. Okay, now that gives the centrifugal force, and this centrifugal force, if it is more than electrostatic force, then the electrons may go outside of the atom, but it doesn't happen. That means this centrifugal force always balanced by the electrostatic force. Now let us discuss about the main assumptions made by the Bohr's atomic model for the hydrogen atom. దీనికంటే ముందు చెప్పింది ఏంటంటే జస్ట్ ఒక బ్రీఫింగ్. Bohr's model for hydrogen atom. Bohr's theory of hydrogen atom. Which is most important, very easy to understand. If you learn three assumptions made by Bohr, you can easily get a complete idea. So here four assumptions. First one is by considering the Rutherford atomic model point, the electron in an atom moves in a circular orbit, and this moves with the centrifugal force, and this centrifugal force is balanced by the electrostatic force of attraction between the positively charged nucleus to the negatively charged electrons. So these are balanced means the electrostatic force is E square by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. This is very important, as you know by the Coulomb's inverse square law, Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. Same like you have taken the positively charged proton. Positively charged nucleus means there is only positive charge proton, and around the nucleus, in the circular orbits, electrons revolves. That is E and E square by 4 pi epsilon naught R square, which is balanced by the centrifugal force mv square by R, which was very important formula to get more different parameters for the hydrogen atom. And the second one is the orbital angular momentum of the electron. Orbital angular momentum. Whenever you understood that positively charged, around the positively charged nucleus, the electrons revolve in circular orbit. Whenever a motion is in circular orbit, it has the linear momentum or linear velocity, as well as it is going around the nucleus, it has angular velocity. That means for every electron, the orbital angular momentum is there. Idemo linear velocity. Due to this linear velocity, due to the mass of the charge electron, the electron consists of linear momentum. While it is moving in the circular orbit, it has angular momentum, which has radius r of the orbit. Now we say that the orbital angular momentum of the electron is equal to the integral multiple of h by 2 pi. This is a condition. Those orbits are possible in which the electrons has orbital angular momentum mvr is equal to h by 2 pi, integral multiple of h by 2 pi. The integral multiple here we can see the n values as 1, 2, 3 like that. Okay. mvr equal to nh by 2 pi. Now the third one is, so those orbits in which the orbital angular momentum is integral multiple of h by 2 pi equals, though only that orbits are possible to revolve around the nucleus. And third one is, the electron moving in such allowed orbit does not radiate electromagnetic radiation. Thus, the total energy of the electron revolving in any one of the so many stationary orbits remains constant. First ఇందాక మనం డిస్కస్ చేస్తుంది. సో ఇప్పుడు ఈ ఎలక్ట్రాన్, this electron is revolving around the nucleus in circular orbit unless until you give the external energy to the electron. బయట నుంచి నువ్వు ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఎనర్జీ ఇచ్చేంత వరకు ఇట్ డజంట్ గో టు ది అప్పర్ ఆర్బిట్, అప్పర్ స్టేషనరీ స్టేట్. సో పైనున్న శక్తి స్థాయికి వెళ్ళదు ఎప్పటి వరకు నువ్వు ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఎనర్జీ ఇవ్వనంత వరకు. సో అన్లెస్ అంటిల్ యు గివ్ ద ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఎనర్జీ, దిస్ ఎలక్ట్రాన్ స్టేస్ ఎట్ దిస్ స్టేషనరీ ఆర్బిట్, అది అందులోనే రివాల్వ్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. సో దట్ there is no change of its energy. So the energy is constant for the electron which revolves in only one stationary orbit. Okay, energy is constant. ఎందుకు కాన్స్టెంట్? అది ఓన్లీ ఒకటే స్టేషనరీ ఆర్బిట్ లో రివాల్వ్ అయితే దట్ ఎనర్జీ ఈజ్ కాన్స్టెంట్. when electron revolve in only one stationary orbit. ఓన్లీ వన్ స్టేషనరీ ఆర్బిట్ అంటే ఆ స్టేషనరీ ఆర్బిట్లో అది రివాల్వ్ అయ్యేంత వరకు దాని ఎనర్జీ కాన్స్టెంట్ ఉంటుంది. సో ఎనర్జీ కాన్స్టెంట్ ఉంది కాబట్టి దట్ ఆర్బిట్స్ ఆర్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ స్టేషనరీ ఆర్బిట్స్. సో వైస్ వర్సా, ఇప్పుడు స్టేషన్ ఆర్బిట్లో ఉంది కాబట్టి ఎనర్జీ కాన్స్టెంట్ ఉంది, ఎనర్జీ కాన్స్టెంట్ ఉంది కాబట్టి ఆ ఆర్బిట్ని స్టేషనరీ ఆర్బిట్ అంటున్నాం. నౌ వన్ మోర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్, వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్, వెన్ యూ గివ్ ద అడిషనల్ ఎనర్జీ టు ద ఆటమ్. ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు ఆటమ్కి అడిషనల్ ఎనర్జీ ఇచ్చినావు, హెచ్న్యూ అనే ఎనర్జీని ఇచ్చినావు ఇట్లా, అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? ఇట్ టేక్స్ ద హెచ్న్యూ ఎనర్జీ, the electron takes that hν energy and it goes. అది ఒక్కసారి ఎనర్జీ కొంచెం ఎక్కువ తీసుకోగానే అది అక్కడ ఆగలేదు ఇంకా. ఇట్ డజంట్ స్టేస్ ఎట్ దట్ ఆటమ్, ఎట్ దట్ ఆర్బిట్. ఆ ఆర్బిట్లో ఉండకుండా ఇట్ గోస్ టు ది హయ్యర్ స్టేట్. ఇక్కడ ఇంకో ఆర్బిట్ ఉంటే ఇట్ గోస్ టు ది స్టేట్, ఇక్కడ ఈ స్టేట్కి వెళ్తుంది. So by taking that energy, by absorbing that energy, it goes to the higher energy state. Okay, it stays at that higher energy state for 10 power minus 8 seconds only. 10 power minus 8 seconds వరకు అక్కడ ఉండి it comes back to the original or ground state by emitting the radiation. నువ్వు రేడియేషన్ తీసుకున్నావు, పైకి వెళ్ళినావు, మళ్ళీ కిందికి వచ్చేటప్పుడు రేడియేషన్ ఇచ్చేస్తావు. సో బై అబ్జర్వింగ్ the electron goes to the higher transition state, and while coming back to the ground state it emits hν energy. So here if you say this is first energy state and this is second energy state, you can write that E2 minus E1 equal to hν. If there are different types of orbits, say this atom is coming to the direct ground state, that means it is coming to the E3 to E1. So it gives 2hν. So you can multiply with n also. So it will be happened in the lasers. So we will discuss in that separately. So here these 4 points should be remembered for the complete analysis of the Bohr's theory of hydrogen atoms. ఇప్పుడు నీకు బోర్స్ అటామిక్ మోడల్ గురించి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయమన్నా నువ్వు ఇదే రాయాలి. If you have been asked to write the Bohr's theory of hydrogen atom, you can write this only. So these 4 assumptions. First one is the electrostatic force is balanced with the centrifugal force. Centrifugal force ఏమో ఎలక్ట్రాన్ ని సర్క్యులర్ ఆర్బిట్ లో రివాల్వ్ చేస్తుంది. సర్క్యులర్ ఆర్బిట్ లో రివాల్వ్ చేయడం అంటే ఇట్ ఈస్ maintaining such distance. It is not coming towards the nucleus. So the centrifugal force acts on that electron, and this centrifugal force is balanced with the positively charged nucleus to the electron, that is electrostatic force, so that it doesn't go away. ఆ ఎలక్ట్రాన్ అటామ్ నుంచి బయటకు వెళ్ళిపోకుండా ఉండే యూజ్ అయ్యేది ఏంటి? ద ఎలక్ట్రోస్టాటిక్ ఫోర్స్, అండ్ దిస్ ఫోర్స్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు ది సెంట్రిఫ్యూగల్ ఫోర్స్. సో ఇది ఈ పాయింట్ చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఎందుకు బ్యాలెన్స్ అవుతుంది? అసలు ఎలక్ట్రాన్ బయటకు ఎందుకు వెళ్ళట్లేదు? దిస్ వన్. ఎందుకు లోపలికి వెళ్ళట్లేదు? బికాస్ దిస్ వన్, సెంట్రిఫ్యూగల్ ఫోర్స్. అండ్ హౌ దిస్ atom is stable? Because of the neutron, which is neutral atom, it is balancing this positive charge nucleus and electron together, so that atom is stable. And the orbital angular momentum is integral multiple of h by 2 pi. Whenever this condition followed by the orbit, such type of orbits are allowed in the hydrogen atom, in that the electrons will revolve. In those only electrons can revolve. Otherwise, whenever the orbits which doesn't obey this condition, mvr equal to nh by 2 pi condition follow కాకపోతే ఆ orbits అసలు possible కావు. And that energy is constant if electron is revolving in a single orbit, unless until you are giving the external energy, that electron revolves in that orbit only, so that its energy is constant, so that the orbits are called as stationary orbits, స్థిర కక్షలు అంటాం. And when you give the external energy, atom excited కి చెందించినప్పుడు, due to that excitation energy, the electron gains much energy, so that it doesn't stay at this atom, it goes to upper level by absorbing this energy. While coming back, it emits that energy and comes to the ground state. This is the very important, and these are the assumptions made by Bohr to give the complete structural analysis of atom. By these different assumptions, we may get different parameters for the hydrogen atom. So the quantities associated with Bohr's orbit, we can discuss it, but it may get, due to the time lag, we doesn't get that values, because there are radii of orbits, velocity of revolving electrons, orbital frequency of electron energy, frequency of the emitted radiations. This type of different conditions are there. So we may discuss in the next class, but I will give you limitations of Bohr's theory. We can discuss the limitations. ఏంటి ఆ పరిమితులు అంటే some failures of Bohr's theory. What are they? First one is, the theory could not account the spectra of atoms more complex than hydrogen atom. So more than hydrogen, more than the atomic numbers more than hydrogen could not explained. మీకు ఒక ల్యూసిడ్ లాంగ్వేజ్లో చెప్పాలి కాబట్టి ఐఎమ్ గివింగ్. సో హైడ్రోజన్ కంటే ఎక్కువ పరమాణు సంఖ్యలు ఉన్న మూలకాల గురించి he doesn't give any explanation, and we may get సో ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ గురించి కూడా చెప్పలేదు. ఎలక్ట్రాన్ కాన్ఫిగరేషన్, ఎలక్ట్రాన్ విన్యాసం ఎలా డిస్ట్రిబ్యూట్ అవుతుంది అనేది కూడా ఇన్ దిస్ థియరీ he couldn't explain. So the theory does not give any information regarding the distribution and arrangement of electrons in atom, and it does not give any explanation for the intensity of spectral lines of element. So intensity of spectral lines, and next one is this theory cannot be used to calculate about transitions from one level to another, such as the rate at which they occur or the selection rules which apply to them. జనరల్గా సెలక్షన్ రూల్స్ అంటే ఏంటంటే హయ్యర్ గ్రౌండ్ స్టేట్ నుంచి ఇది గ్రౌండ్ స్టేట్, ఇది హయ్యర్ ఎనర్జీ స్టేట్, ఇది హయ్యర్ ఎనర్జీ స్టేట్, ఇది హయ్యర్ ఎనర్జీ, ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇటు వెళ్తుంది, ఇటు నుంచి ఇటు వెళ్తుంది, ఇటు నుంచి ఇటు వెళ్తుంది, ఇట్లా అనుకుంటే ఫర్ ది one transition to another transition there is a plus or minus one condition should follow. ఒక్కొక్కటే ఇక్కడ ట్రాన్సిషన్ అవుతాయి కనుక ఒకవేళ while coming back it comes to one single transition by 1 2 3 4, so 4 to 1, is it possible? Actually this type of transition is also happened, but he couldn't explain about the selection rules. అంటే ఈ 4 నుంచి 1 కి ఎందుకు వచ్చింది అనేది అసలు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయలేకపోయాడు. సో he couldn't explain about the selection rules. And next one, this theory fails to accounting the fine structure of spectral lines. Actually it was found that when spectral lines emitted by an atom are examined, each line is composed of several lines closely packed together. Bohr's theory does not throw any light on it. అంటే ఇది ఏమంటామంటే this theory fails to account the fine structure of spectral lines. Fine structure means మళ్ళీ ఒక్కొక్క స్పెక్ట్రల్ లైన్ it distributed by more number of spectral lines. That is the fine structure. So he doesn't explain about the fine structure. మనం ఫైన్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఆఫ్ హెచ్ ఆల్ఫా, హెచ్ బీటా, హెచ్ గామా, హెచ్ ఆల్ఫా లైన్కి సంబంధించి చెప్పేటప్పుడు we get more number of spectral lines. So he couldn't explain. By the vector atom model only we had explained about the fine structure, but it is not in our syllabus, so that we couldn't give complete explanation. అంటే మనం దీన్ని అవసరం లేదు యాక్చువల్గా, బట్ if time permits we will discuss in the direct class. మనం డైరెక్ట్ లైవ్ క్లాస్ ఇంట్లో క్లాస్లో స్కూల్లో కాలేజ్లో క్లాస్ రూమ్లో మనం డిస్కస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు ఇది ఫైన్ స్ట్రక్చర్ గురించి. ఫర్ అబౌట్ ద స్పెషల్లీ హెచ్ ఆల్ఫా లైన్, మనం హెచ్ ఆల్ఫా ఫైన్ స్ట్రక్చర్ అనేది ఎట్లా వస్తుంది అనేది ఇట్ ఈస్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ వెన్ ట్రాన్సిషన్ ఫ్రమ్ 3 to 2, హయ్యర్ ఎనర్జీ 3 to lower energy 2. While coming back the two lines give more spectral lines, that is the fine structure. So we may get a complete knowledge of fine structure, and it is not given about the chemical bonding. Chemical bonding గురించి కూడా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయలేదు. This theory cannot be used for the quantitative explanation of chemical bonding, and the theory fails to give correct result when an electric or magnetic field is applied to the atom. It is found that when electric or magnetic field is applied to the atom, each spectral line splits into several lines. When you place a magnetic field in place of spectral lines, that gives more spectral lines, so that is divided into more spectral lines. And as well as when you place this the spectral line into in electric field, then it splits into more number of spectral lines. So one is first one, when you use magnetic effect, that is Zeeman effect, and when you use electric field, that is Stark effect. Bohr couldn't explain the effect of the Zeeman effect and Stark effect. So these are the limitations of Bohr's theory. We will discuss more different quantities about the Bohr theory, quantities related to the Bohr theory like frequency, energy, and radius. So quantities associated with Bohr's orbit can be explained in the next class. So please see the continuous videos. Please watch the continuous videos to get complete idea. Thank you so much for watching this video.